When I am teaching science, STEM, or engineering, something that I'm always thinking about is how to foster student curiosity. Children are so curious, especially when in science. And it's important that you let students show their curiosity during science investigations and science lessons so that they can continue to have that desire to learn. Students constantly want to ask questions and experience things for themselves so that they can make sense of the world around them. And in this video, I want to explain how student curiosity was fostered during a science investigation we did on worms. So I wanted to set up this investigation so that students could become familiar with worms. One, just to get comfortable, because worms can be a little bit weird to kids. Kids can get squirmish with them. I myself did too. And so I wanted to make sure students were comfortable handling the worms and handle them appropriately. But also I just wanted them to think about what they're curious about, what they're wondering or noticing about the worms. When I did this first initial investigation, I didn't have a learning goal other than for students to get familiar with the worms and their physical characteristics. And when I did that, I saw students they really questioned what was happening with the worms and had their wonderings. So in this video, I'm going to try to talk about how I fostered curiosity and student wonderings during a worm investigation. In the video clip that I'm about to show, you can see me trying to incorporate a student's wondering about the size of worms and letting him just explore and experiment on his own. He just walked over and decided to tell me, I want to do this experiment. Here we go. I need you to put worms in here. And so you'll see how that played out right now. It is dead. That's okay.
What is that stolen?
Yes.
Oh my God. You can put worms here and no dirt. Only worms.
Okay. Only worms. How many do you want?
Yes. I want side your
There you go.
place. My mom,
What are you going to do with them?
I try to look them and which one biggest and which one not.
All right. What should you...
Yo, I don't know which one biggest. Two of them. Look.
Two of them? I can't see. You got to come over here.
Look.
Do you want to show everybody? Wait, Marcus, come here. Let's show everyone. Marcus made a discovery.
Look at two of them. They're biggest the same. The same biggest.
They're the same size? Can you show everybody like I showed them the worms?
Yeah, right here. Can I see?
I wonder how they got to the same size. Did they start all the same size?
Yeah.
They were. When I put them in, were they all the same size?
I think try that one.
Try that one?
Okay.
Is that the same size?
This is cool.
Why don't we watch it? Do we think it's going to stay the same size?
It died.
Let's look at it.
The ones are dying. This one died.
So I have a question. Is one longer than the other ones?
Let me check.
Okay.
Oh, yep.
I thought you said they were all the same size.
Yeah, they're same size.
But how is one longer than the other one now?
Oh my God. The other ones, the tail first.
The tail what?
The tail makes poop.
Where's the tail?
Like right there. Here's the tail. I found the tail.
I can't see it. Where's the tail?
Right here.
How do we know?
They do poop and pee.
Which way is it moving? Is it moving with its tail?
Yeah.
In this video clip, you can see his excitement over being able to investigate the worms in his own way and answer his own questions about size. He has a magnifying glass. All the students weren't using them as you are quote unquote supposed to use a magnifying glass, but that's okay. I wanted to give them the tools that some scientists use so that they can start getting familiar with them and feel like they had an extra resource to investigate these worms with, which you could see he was trying to look a little bit closer at the worms. One way that I'm really proud of myself during this teaching was that I just let him do his own experiment. So he walked over and I said, go for it. You tell me what you need and I will support you how I can. It wasn't me dictating how he should be thinking or what he should be questioning or wondering. It was really taking his curiosity about the size of the worms and letting him go with it to try to discover it on his own, which I think is so vital for students to not only feel that their thoughts are valued, but also it gives them the chance to experience science practices on their own. I've heard people tell me how when they were a kid, they were shut down from asking questions, and that's something that I never want to do to my students. And so I'm consciously thinking about how I can make sure students have the ability to ask and answer their own questions through their own way, which is one way that I do try to help students bring their curiosities into the classroom. Now, in this next video clip, you're going to see the same student explain what his thinking was to another teacher. He does need a little bit of guidance on the question, but this not only helps with his language development orally, but he's also this is a kind of a brainstorming process because he just drew about what he learned about worms and was going to write a sentence about that too.
So you told me to put some worms inside that plastic container, right?
Yeah.
What were you looking for?
I can looking which one big and which one little and which one other big and which one a big one.
Oh yeah.
He just compare the sizes.
Yep, he just came up and was like, oh, I need you some in here.
So when he was done writing, he didn't end up writing about what he was experimenting and investigating during our small group science investigation. But he did tell myself and a colleague what he was thinking. And there is another question on there. So as you can see, it says, do worms hug? And I see yellow worms. So he wrote the wondering, do worms hug? And then his noticing, I see worms, which tells me that he's still curious and still wondering about the phenomena of worms. So in future investigations, what I want to do is incorporate his wondering into our investigation so that he can continue to answer that question and keep asking questions. That's the whole goal, is that I want students to keep asking questions. When I am teaching science, I want to make sure that I am constantly valuing student questions so that they can keep questioning what's happening around them and keep learning about the world we live in.